have an internal call that does this. It does this one line. And I think that's okay. Yeah, let me do that. So this call is meant to be used with stuff that won't sound immediately, but for sounds that are meant to be transferred somewhere else. And I think I believe the create call is what that means there's already a reference attached to it. Yeah. Something like this. And this can go into the base class of filter effect, or normal physics effect. So create transfer sound. Are we taking when we add input sounds, we retain the sound. I have to look up the auto release. I'm a little foggy on how that exactly works. So this might be the new feature they're talking about. Yeah, recently there's a new feature, not recently, but from a while ago. You can just not worry about retains if you enable this one thing, but I think I prefer to do that for now. Fortunately, this doesn't answer the question of auto release. I want to know when the object is actually released and how it's different from just release. Release versus auto release. Yeah, array with capacity. If you're going to be returning the array from your method, here. Yeah, so it seems like somehow magically auto release doesn't immediately release it, but at some point after the client code gets it, even if it's a return. I don't know how they implement that. That was what I thought, but I would like to know how it works. Here's the question. Here's the money question. Okay. So auto release. People don't like auto release, apparently. Ah, I see. This happens whenever the auto-release pool is released. And this can be quite a while, especially if you're on a long thread, but I think this happens for us in the event loop, in the main thread. And this is probably on the main thread, because it's a collision call. So let's look at what were we doing? We were in voice entity, create transfer sound, auto release. And I will note the good design by Apple not to make this camel case. And you can just append auto sometimes. Okay, so let's go ahead and define this way up in the hierarchy in what's it called? Not filter entity, normal physics entity. Is that a bad place for it? That might be a bad place for it. I'm gonna say normal snakeable entity is a much better place. And I might have to move this stuff out into a class that goes in between those two. So now the or the M, yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this one. So I'm just going to return nil for that case. The default case won't do nothing, and that's okay. Alright, so our collision call now can use that. Create transfer sound. Like so. And we say we only do this if it's a valid sound. What was that called? Add input buffer? Add input sound. Add input sound. Okay. What's going on here? Well, what just happened? What is this? This is collide with. Oh, there's another collide with already there. Oops. This collide with is no longer valid. Because we're not making bounce sounds anymore. We don't want the effect itself to make a sound. Maybe a click or something later. But it's processing sound. It's just deleting stuff and processing sound. So if there's a sound, we add in... No. Self add input sound. And sound. And this will do the retain magic for us. Okay, water time. The reason water is great is that it's a mini reward every time you do something right and every time you're stuck. All right. So we've got this great little transfer going on. So going back to our diagram, that's this, and note that this is just the raw functionality. There's going to have to be bells and whistles on top of this. It doesn't feel very good if this box just suddenly disappears. We might want it to slowly squeeze its way in there and have this one slowly pop out and grow. But to start off, we just do the rough and raw, and then we work on we tweak the look and feel and the user experience part after. And everything so far is very primitive. It's actually it can be very counterproductive at this state while you're actually developing the framework, because a lot of stuff is going to change. At least that's my thoughts on that. So once that happens, we need to start processing here. That's a long background. That's either a long background thread or sequential call, but we already have the process call defined. We just need to pick a place to call it. Yeah. Immediately create post entity. Okay. So actually, I mean, 3 and 4 could be swapped around, because the entity that we want is called, actually it's an output entity, and I think that's already defined. Yeah, no, out entity. Maybe it's not defined at all. I thought it was. Out sound, out sound, okay. Instead of get output sound, I might say pop. No, get output sound is fine. Yeah. Output sound. What happened to that? Output entity. It's not an entity, it's a sound. I keep forgetting. Wait, do we want to create the sound here? It's the actual entity we want to create here. And this isn't, this is something that, yeah, we might need to have a reference to. So it's a little weird, but we need both. We need to keep track of two parts, both the output sound and the output entity.